Hey everyone, and welcome to the KCGN podcast. I'm Jeff, and joining me today are my co-host Daniel, or is my co-host Daniel.
Right
and
here.
We have a special guest today. His name is Max Petrosky. Go ahead and
Hi.
introduce yourself. So, welcome to the show, Max. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm currently working on a video game right now. It is a reboot of the classic 1993 DOS game MegaRace. And I'm currently working on the music for that, and I'm really excited about that. We just released our soundtrack, and it's currently available on CD Baby and iTunes.
Mm-hmm. And I will say I've listened to it. It's great. If you like DOS game style music, this is definitely for you. We'll have a link to that in the description.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it's the essentially it's a rearrangement of the original music written by Stefan Peek, who wrote the music back in 1993. This is the original chiptune music that's been rearranged into a more studio environment, 21st century. Mm-hmm. So it actually sounds modern, and actually has a more, soundtrack.
That was something that I thought was really cool about it. It felt like if I were to listen, if the MegaRace, like the original MegaRace soundtrack, were to have come out today, that's kind of what I assumed. It feels like what I imagine a remix of an album should sound like. So it still maintains a lot of that original feel, but it manages to kind of feel new and fresh at the same time.
Mm. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for, and it's you wanted to stay respectful to the original music that Stefan wrote, 23 years ago, but bring it into a more modern context.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
Tricky part.
Exactly, because you're taking music that was written for the ad-lib sound card, which was the first de facto sound card, along with Sound Blaster and stuff.
Right.
It's this FM music, frequency modulation synthesis music. So very similar sounding to the Genesis.
Right.
Very harsh, metallic timbres and stuff like that. And, you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this sound, better and, and make it sound professional? And Stefan kind of did it before a while ago. He did the soundtrack for Cryo's first game called Dune, which was based off of the movie.
Which I think that game also kind of set the bar for real-time strategy games as well.
Yes.
Back when it came out, it was kind of like one of the very first real-time strategy games. And Warcraft was kind of like Warcraft was like Blizzard's development team basically looking at Dune and saying, so how can we make this better?
Yeah,
that's kind of like how Warcraft kind of came to be.
Yeah, Dune definitely set the groundwork for that, and even more so with Westwood Studios did Dune 2, and that definitely even further cemented it. But Stefan did such an absolutely astounding job with the soundtrack. It's amazing because it's such an organic sounding soundtrack that it's really the fact that it's chiptune and it's playing off of an FM chip. It's really, really quite breathtaking. There's a lot of variances and minute subtle change.
Stefan Peek also did a soundtrack for a game. I think it was Captain Doom or something. I don't.
Oh, Captain Blood.
Captain Blood. And that game has such an amazing theme song. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I remember listening to it over and over again back when I first heard it a few years ago. Such a cool theme song.
Oh yeah, he's definitely very talented, and what's really funny is that he left. The Cryo was based out of France, so he's from France, and he left France in '98 to pursue a career in sapphire mining in Madagascar. So he moved all the way over to Madagascar, and he stopped music altogether and just yeah, it's really quite a drastic change.
Yeah, well, going from music production to sapphire mining, definitely kind of a 180.
Absolutely,
they were knighted.
And it's really quite amazing. And we recently got a hold of him, and he's actually helped us out a bit with,
cool.
he of course there's a lot of stuff that he doesn't remember. So when it came to like, I had to still like reverse engineer a lot of the original music files and stuff like that. But he gave us, he told us the music was originally written in Cubase and stuff like that. So it's neat little tidbits here and there that's really, really cool, really beneficial.
So, for our listeners who don't know, MegaRace is a DOS game from, I think it said 1993?
Yep.
1993, and it's very heavily FMV based. It's got a lot of full motion video, a lot of pre-rendered CGI,
very
and some
90s.
live action. It's probably one of the most 90s racing games. Like,
yes,
the gameplay is similar in some ways to Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver. Kind of like you have this behind the car perspective, and the whole track is CGI. It's rendered in CGI, or pre-rendered, kind of like Donkey Kong Country stuff. It's like full motion video in the background, and basically there's other cars in the track, and the way it works is you're trying to destroy the other racers, and you're also trying to keep it as exciting as possible because you have like a thrill meter, because the whole thing is like this futuristic TV show hosted by live action Kristen Erickson, who some of our listeners may know as the Doctor from Heavy Rain. So I remember watching that scene and thinking to myself, that guy looks kind of familiar. I wonder who he is. So
and Christian's really, really cool, and we actually got in contact with him as well. He's going to be joining us for the reboot.
he's done a couple of videos in character as Lance Boyle.
Yep.
I believe. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, we're very, very excited, and he's been absolutely awesome. This is definitely something that he's like absolutely wants to contribute to and stuff. So it's to have his support and backing behind us it's very, 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 very
and
good.
I will say it's very weird watching those because it looks like he has not aged a day since 1993. He's like some immortal man or something. It's so great.
In the video games, he often goes like, "Hey, I'm Lance Boyle." People often wonder if I'm real. So, he's living up to the virtual avatar.
It is all virtual reality all along.
But yeah, no, it's really, really cool, and it was so surreal because I'm doing the CGI work for the game as well. So I modeled the cars and some of the racetracks, and I did the backgrounds for one of the videos. So to replace the green screen that he was standing behind. So it was really surreal to see Lance Boyle and my artwork.
I will say, part of what I love about what I've seen from the new game so far, like the stuff that has been released on the official Zoom platform and MegaRace Reboot Facebook pages, they look very, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all. I mean it looks very true to the original MegaRace. It looks very 90s.
Oh yeah,
and I love that so much. Like,
no, we're definitely going for the 90s vibe. That is
so great. I love that so much. Like that's one of the things. Like when you look at I think Command and Conquer had always done that. Like with all of their newer games, they still kind of kept that 90s FMV style.
Yeah,
and I love that so much. There's just something very iconic about that style, just like for that time period, and just it's very cheesy, but in a way that just works really well.
Yeah, no, we're definitely, the game MegaRace is a series that's self-aware in the fact that it's very cheesy. So we revel in the fact that it's it's going to be very cheesy. It's going to be very hokey, and that's the point. It's going to be good, unadulterated, late 80s, early 90s fun all over again.
That's excellent. I'm looking very forward to it. So Dan, you do 3D modeling as well.
Yep.
So do you have any questions for Max kind of in that regard?
What program?
I'm actually using Blender.
Blender, oh yeah.
I've and Jeff may have remembered a long time ago.
I think so. We tried importing models from Tron 2.0 into Gary's mod using a 3D screen capture program that only worked on 32-bit versions of Windows.
Didn't you give me that program?
I think I may have linked it to you as well, but the thing was,
it didn't work at all.
Of all the computers that we collectively had, the only one that was running a 32-bit operating system was my Toshiba laptop at the time, and bless that thing, it fought to the end, and eventually just died one day.
Yeah,
while I was working on a project.
Blender is very powerful for something that's free. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm using Cycles as the renderer, and I wholeheartedly agree.
Not as, I don't think it's as intuitive as like Maya or something like that, but
yeah,
if you can get around that or learn it for free, you ain't gonna beat anything for that for free.
Blender is definitely something I need to do more looking into, because I've tried getting into it several times now, and it's just I'm so used to using Maya. And
I think
even then, in a very limited capacity.
You can set the controls to.
They do have a Maya control scheme, but even then, like there's
still differences to it.
Like I remember the first time I started using Blender, and I think I tried moving the camera, rotating the camera around, and then I ended up with like the camera tilted at a 45-degree angle, and and then just Alt Tab back to Maya and just continue working in there.
Yeah, and I also tried 3ds Max, and it's like. This is... I just want to use Maya. Because it's just learning something new. It's like... just go back to Maya. And, Maya LT makes it cheaper than paying, $3,600?
I think $5,000, I think, is the... price for Maya, full Maya, and I think Maya LT is
$30 a month.
It's $30 a month, or you can pay. There's a flat rate that they have for it. I don't remember what it is.
I don't know if I've seen anything like that. But they do. It is. But that's for games or you can't do .
Yeah, Maya LT is a great.
You're not gonna be making Pixar stuff in there, I don't think.
Oh yeah.
It's made for gaming.
I feel like my LT is definitely great for indie games, especially just because it's got that much lower barrier of entry.
Yeah, you only have to pay $30 a month. You don't gotta spend $4,000.
If you go to a college and you do animation, chances are they're gonna teach you how to use Maya, and with Maya LT, they've really kind of made it much easier for students who are graduating from an animation program to join up with an independent development team and just kind of immediately jump right on in and, start applying those skills that they've learned in college to an actual, commercial product.
Yeah, and they're the UV editor's gotten a lot better in there too.
They actually made it usable by humans?
Yeah, there's a free plugin or something that a UV layout kind of plug-in for it now.
That's nice.
And it makes it way easier. I don't think it's quite as good as the actual UV layout program. But that's a whole nother thing. Nobody knows what we're talking about.
Right.
Probably.
So as far as making your models look like things from a 90s CGI, I assume the whole game is being designed around, like you said earlier, it's being designed around looking like pre-rendered 90s video game CGI. So what are some of your specific techniques that you kind of apply towards your models to make them kind of have that 90s CGI feel? Are there any things that you put in afterwards, post effects that make them look lower quality?
There's no, it's just simply lack of skill. That's all you need. No, it's very interesting because the reference material for MegaRace is literally 320 pixels by 200 pixels. The cars are extremely pixelated. And there's a couple of close-ups of the cars and cinematics and stuff, but we're still talking about video that's 12 frames a second.
Right.
It's very, very challenging.
Gotta fit that stuff on like however many floppy disks that you can fit in a box.
Oh, God.
So yeah, that was MegaRace was a CD game. There's 500 megabytes of data.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of that being the racetracks, and the full motion video. But yeah, it's very, very difficult. I actually had to go for the assets of the 3DO port of the game in order to get usable sprites as reference material.
Oh, wow.
So I constantly was going back and forth with the sprites, back and forth with we call it the 360 video, where the car spins around 360s. So you hit the space bar and it actually gives you the specs of the car. The problem is the car is actually doing like a Z morph. It's actually like molding itself from the ground up, so it's like it stretches itself out.
Oh no!
It's like it's being formed inside a factory or something.
Right.
Like sort of like a lot like Ghost in the Shell.
Right.
You know, and it's like just coming out of the primordial car ooze and oozing in the shape. So that makes it even more difficult because the car is being distorted while you're trying to look at it for reference. So you're bouncing between the distorted car image, the distorted car image on the on the gameplay footage, on the sprites. It was extremely difficult to get the accurate shape for these cars. But I feel like we've done a very good job with recapturing it.
They have some videos, like some 360 turntable videos of the new models for the cars on the Facebook page, and they look very true to the original designs. I think they look great.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's all my work, and my boss Jordan, gives the final approval and everything, and he's just absolutely floored. It's really awesome to hear fans, the game. It's like, oh, they look just like the real thing, and it really. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into those cars, so it's.
Now, I believe you were one of the first. I know MegaRace doesn't really have a huge community, or didn't really have a huge community before the whole reboot thing started. But from what I understand, I believe you were one of the first people to actually be able to extract those FMV videos from the original game, like the background videos of the tracks and stuff.
And it's a lot of it's sort of like, some of it is hacking, some of it is just simply reutilizing other people's tools and connecting the dots. Because MegaRace is a cryo game and Dune's a cryo game. Was very fortunate that both of the games happen to share the same game engine for the most part, and share same compression archives.
Oh, right.
So there's a lot of files that to help further compress file size. They compress the files in their own proprietary compression format, which
that almost kind of reminds me of Tron 2.0 in a way, because it's like you have this game and it's got like no following at all, and you want to extract all these details from the game and whatnot, and it's difficult to do so because the tools just don't exist because there's just no following for the game. But then you realize, oh wait, this game's on an engine for a much more popular game, so we can just write off the back of that.
Yeah.
So I know with Tron 2.0, that runs on, is it LiftTech, I think? And so you had people just writing right off the back of No One Lives Forever using tools that were made for that with Tron 2.0, I think.
Yep.
You and your Tron, Jeff.
And I know, I want to say it was either Lair or Tron. I think it actually was Lair. Lair actually ported the models over to Fear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember seeing Jeff Bradley in Fear. That was pretty trippy. But yeah, it's a very, very similar concept. Some Russian hacker. So a lot of people were able to figure out the compression algorithm. Thank God. It's based off of the LZ directory algorithm, and we were able to write a decompressor and a compressor, and I was able to use that to extract a lot of assets. The problem is once you extract the assets, they're still in custom archaic formats.
Right.
So,
just like these weird like proprietary things that were designed specifically for this one use ever.
Exactly. So, that's why I had to go to the 3DO stuff, because the 3DO stuff was at least standardized with other 3DO hacking applications.
Oh yeah.
The sprites for the PC game are unviewable other than screenshots from the gameplay. Some hacker guy was able to figure out the video format, and which again Dune also uses it as well. So I was able to extract all the frames and the audio and stuff from the video files, which was very, very helpful, because DOSBox, and I also admit the game is probably maybe not the best coded,
right?
Not the best optimized, but there's a lot of screen tearing in the videos when you're playing the video in game.
Right.
And you can avoid a lot of it by increasing the speed of the CPU on DOSBox by tapping Control F12 a lot. But sometimes you still get that screen tearing. But fortunately, having the video extractor really, really helped out, because we had the raw frames being dumped.
And you were able to use that as a more effective reference for like creating the environments as far as like animation goes and whatnot.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Very cool.
Well, that way, we could also extract the raw, racetrack videos as well, which is very, very helpful, because you don't have any HUD, you don't have the cars exploding on screen, so there's, that was very, very helpful. The other thing is, in the intro video for MegaRace, they had the logo pop up on screen, but there's all this weird abstract shapes that are flying by the camera. And I'm going, what the heck is all that stuff? And sure enough, it's actually the topographical views of the racetracks.
Oh.
And so that was really, I was like, holy Toledo. So I was actually able to use that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, once I figured that out, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And I actually figured out, okay, that's Junkyard, that's New Sand, that's Skyholder, So it was very, very weird trying to look at the video and try and go like, okay, this curve correlates with this curve,
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and we did the same thing too. Is in Blender, I had a NURBS curve with a camera point paired it to the NURBS curve, and then I had a racetrack, and I extruded a racetrack around the NURBS curve and make a loop, that was a lot of finesse and making sure everything worked and stuff, but trying to figure out how many, too many anchor points and not enough anchor points, that sort of thing. But it was very very challenging, very interesting learning experience for sure, definitely. But the biggest thing I'm proud about, going back to the hacking really quick, is the music. Before now, I didn't, with the music that came out on CD. I meant not on CD, for CD Baby and iTunes.
The MegaRace, it's I believe it's called the Max Petrosky Sessions.
Yes.
It's called.
Yes. It's the MegaRace Reboot soundtrack, Max Petrosky Sessions, and all the music that you hear there, it's actually transcribed by hand. It's all sequenced from scratch. So there's really not. I found out to my scrim, later on, that the music for MegaRace is actually running off of MIDI. There is actually MIDI data being used, but again,
it uses like its own proprietary thing, which I think you actually managed to. I don't know if you developed it or if you somehow extracted it. You got a player for that up and running in DOSBox, I think.
Yeah, there's an old player that some Romanian guy wrote back in '97 that plays the music for Dune correctly. So there is a player out there that plays the music format's called HERAD, which is short for Herbilo Adlib, and Remy Herbilo was the programmer on Dune and MegaRace, the main programmer.
Okay. And
so him and Stefan Keek, the guy who wrote the music for Dune and MegaRace, they came up with this system that the thing about ad lib music is a lot of it sounds the same. If you were to pick up any random track, especially vintage tracks from soundtracks from the 90s and stuff, it's like that's the same horn sound on this game, this game,
and it sounds every single King's Quest game.
Yeah, it sounds very bland. It's the same sound over and over again. But Stefan actually went ahead and looked at the data sheet for the YM3812 chip, or the Yamaha OPL2 chip as it's more commonly called, and was actually able to like figure out, okay, this is they were able to basically add in additional parameters for the sounds for the instruments that modify other parameters of the chip that you normally wouldn't have access to in other trackers of the day. So there was a lot. As a result, the sounds are, as I mentioned earlier, much more organic and much more responsive, because there actually are back in the day, you only had velocity as like your only way of changing the any parameter of the sound. So basically, how loud the note was.
Right.
But with this, you could change, a particular oscillator volume control, or add a automated pitch bend, or there's a lot of macros that have been added.
Allows for a lot more variety in the music than normal ad-lib music.
And that's why Stefan's soundtracks, Dune, KGB, and MegaRace, are like consistently in the top three, some of the top rated ad-lib soundtracks, some of the best chiptune soundtracks written for DOS, because he was able to really, really squeeze all the potential use out of that chip.
Now, I believe you did, I think as a test thing, you wrote part of a Daft Punk song as you like kind of transcribed it into the special version of the ad-lib thing that was made for MegaRace and Dune. I don't remember which song it was.
It was Aerodynamic.
Yeah, Aerodynamic. That's right.
Because MegaRace is a French video game. I figured might as well stick with the French.
There you go.
And so once I figured out, I wanted to thank, shout out to my friends Antidote and Jackalan. They helped me out with other hacking stuff, other modding of other video games and whatnot, and got me back into hex editing. When I was looking at the files and stuff, and it eventually figured out, okay, that's MIDI data, and that's the instrument data. I was able to go, okay, well, I can just inject my own MIDI data into a file and reuse the instrument data, and then compress it into Cryo's proprietary compressed archive, and then inject it into the game. And so it's a lot of hex editing, a lot of because I don't know how to program, so I don't have a program that's
so much fun.
Automate all this stuff for me. So it's a lot of copying, pasting from various files over. But I got that to work as a proof of concept. I got that to work, and really, it was really, really awesome to actually get, I'm pretty sure I'm the first person to actually put in custom content into MegaRace. So
since 1993.
Exactly. So
I've only messed with hex editing like once, and I'll never do it again.
I did hex editing a long time ago. It was one of my first kind of exposures to programming. I had a Texas Instruments 99/4A computer, one of those very old like Commodore 64 style computers. You have to hook it up to a TV. And one of the programs we had for it was a version of Quick Basic. And so me and my dad, we were reading through the documentation. We discovered, oh, hey, this natively supports sprite sheets and whatnot, but you do it all through hex. So basically what you would do is you would get a piece of graph paper, draw your sprite on I think it was like 16 by 16 grid. Right. And you have to transcribe that into hexadecimal code, and then you just like basically type all that into your code console or whatever, and then that sprite can then appear in whatever program you're making.
Oh wow!
So, that was a fun experience, but that is the limit of my experience with hex editing, for that matter.
Yeah, I think I did it with like NFL 2K5 or something like that. For like Xbox. Yeah, I think that's the only time I did it. I was like, no.
So, Max, you were telling us before we started recording, you've been doing some hacking stuff with Metroid Prime recently.
Yes, and this just as a hobby, just for fun. The friends mentioned earlier they're currently working on a port of Metroid Prime for the PC.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we're actually hoping to. We've actually had some proof of concept already, and it works really, really well. We have another guy that's working on a Prime editor that can edit maps and stuff like that. So there's going to be a big influx of hacking pretty soon for Metroid Prime. But it's the stuff that we've been able to load assets directly into Blender and have cinematics play in Blender. These guys, Philip and Jack, they're really, really talented programmers, and they've written their own particle viewer and editor. And they're doing the same thing I'm doing. It's just reverse engineering all the assets from Metroid Prime and trying to figure it out. And I started helping out. I figured out a little bit of the scan files a little bit.
Oh yeah, I think you had some screenshots of that you put up on your Facebook page of like the scan file for I think like the Parasite Queen.
Yeah. Since it was such a there's a byte flag for if it's going to be a fast scan or a slow scan, because like when you scan a boss, it usually takes longer to scan. So there's a flag for that. There's a flag on if it's going to be a red reticle or an orange reticle, So it was really cool figuring that out. And once I figured out it was that easy to do hex editing, I've been dying for since like 2006, to actually get the sounds for Metroid Prime, because Metroid Prime, in my opinion, has got some of the best sound design in any video game.
There's some really amazing sound design in a lot of like Nintendo's GameCube games that, like one game that Daniel and I are huge fans of. It's F-Zero GX. We love the F-Zero games. And that game's story mode cutscenes have the most ridiculous music, and the problem is it's all part of these video files, so there's no way to extract it from the videos.
We tracked down one of the
composers. He had no idea what we were talking about.
Oh my god!
Had the files, but the thing is,
didn't know
in the third level of the campaign, or the story mode, or whatever you want to call it, there's a song that's just been stuck in my head this whole time, and there's just no full version of it that I know of, and the song is like some generic like early 2000s era like emo rock song, but the lyrics are like
Sega was the best.
Hero, my hero.
Oh my god! I think I know what you're talking about.
And then the ending credits song.
The ending credits song.
They're like, Captain Falcon will always be there.
They do mention him unleashing a Falcon punch in the lyrics of that song, and it's
there's
the most
nowhere
amazing.
It's baked into the cinematic. I don't know where else we haven't been able to find it at all.
I found a program that allowed me to look through the audio directory archives for GameCube ROM or for GameCube disc images, and I looked through the whole audio directory for F-Zero GX's disc image one night. Just spent the whole night listening to every single one of these files, desperate to find F-Zero, my hero, somewhere in there, and it was nowhere to be found.
We've got to figure this out. I will not sleep until we get those two. The original versions of those songs must be shared with the world.
They must be shared
because without the sound effects of the freaking cinematics, and they're cut short too, and it's like, oh.
But yeah, like what you were saying earlier, a PC version of Metroid Prime, that sounds absolutely incredible, and thankfully our show is really small, nobody listens to it, so I don't think we're going to get that.
Nintendo's going to
triggered
freak out.
So
they've been triggered.
But
don't
yeah,
trigger Nintendo.
It's been pretty crazy, and going back to audio there, it's my contribution to the project has been the audio stuff for, because we were trying to figure it out, like I said, for like 2006, and at least me personally, and of course I had no idea, back in 2006 I was 16 and had no idea of, I was just another gamer back then, but when I was looking at the hex, looking in the hex editor at the audio content for Metroid Prime, again in proprietary format, I'm going, I wonder what the heck this, obviously this chunk of data is crazy gibberish, so that's got to be the sample data. But then there's all this other data. I'm like, I don't understand what this stuff is. It's like, maybe it's like parameters for controlling volume and panning and stuff like that, because it was just really simple bytes and stuff. And one of the guys mentioned, well, doesn't Metroid Prime use MusicX? And I'm like, I don't know. Where did you hear that? I'm like, I'm assuming. And I was like, let me download that MusicX SDK from the GameCube SDK. And so
was that leaked at some point? I never heard about that.
Yeah, the GameCube SDK was leaked. There's several versions of it out there, and the MusicX SDK is part of it. And so I was looking for the MusicX example files and comparing the data between the MusicX files. And with the way MusicX works is you got
that Factor 5?
Yeah, Factor 5 actually developed it.
That was the Rogue Squadron games, man.
So Rogue Squadron uses the MusicX, so you could potentially take assets from Rogue Squadron and put them into Metroid Prime.
So if you guys somehow master this and you're able to get Rogue Squadron 2 on PC, you will forever be my hero. I will create a shrine in your honor.
Well,
that game is still beautiful.
It is. I
can't believe what they could do. Man, Factor 5, they were.
They were ahead of their game. They were very very progressive thinking.
The music, it would change, depending on if you're in a dogfight or something, it would change, and that's how the. Was it one of the first, or was it the first to do that?
I want to say there are other games before it that did that. I think the original Rogue Squadron also may have had some dynamic-ish to its soundtrack.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. In 64, because you could do that with MIDI.
I think Paper Mario had something like that, but there's been a lot of games that do that.
Something, I don't know what.
So Max, you said you were basically looking for consistencies between basically the sample files in the SDK and what was available in the disk image for Metroid Prime, and eventually you found a connection, I think, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay, these files look almost the same as these other files in the Metroid Prime stuff, and I'm telling my programmer friends, like, guys, this is MusicX data, and they're like, yeah, right, no, this isn't. And I'm going, no, seriously, you got to look at the files. Here, I'll send you the files, and I sent them over Skype, and they're like, yeah, they're looking at it, and they're, holy Toledo. Yeah, no, this is MusicX data. And so we were able to, sure enough, they wrote a Nintendo DSP decoder and a MusicX decoder and stuff, and we extracted all the sounds from Metroid Prime.
Nice.
Complete with loop points. I actually told them how to do loop points in WAV files.
That's cool.
And so the charge beam's already looped, which is absolutely amazing. And it's so awesome. So and the thing about MusicX is that it provides something called sound macros, which is kind of a similar concept to what Stefan Pick did in MegaRace. It modifies different parameters of the sound, so you can have a Doppler effect, a panning effect, volume effect.
Like these dynamic special effects that you can apply to individual sound effects.
Right. And Factor 5 did such a great job programming it. It's very, very not processor heavy, so you can have a crap load of effects going on and stuff like that. And
that's amazing, because I was never aware that stuff was actually produced dynamically in real time.
Oh yeah,
that blows my mind, because I assumed that it was all CD music.
Well, no, I mean the music is baked. It's it's
right.
definitely,
It's like the sound effects have that dynamic effect.
yeah, the sound effects definitely have the dynamic.
That's really cool though.
There is, ironically enough, there is some MIDI data in Metroid Prime, but it's only used for the cinematics whenever there's Samus's ship flying around in a cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, they decided to use MIDI data.
It's interesting.
But Star Fox Adventures,
the rare one.
Yeah, for GameCube, that uses MusiX as well, and that uses dynamic music, and so does Rogue Squadron and Rogue Leader and stuff like that. That's all MusiX MIDI data, and so I'm trying to use the players for that and trying to play the Samus's spaceship sounds, and it's like this trumpet going. It's like this long fart.
Part of me almost wants to play through Metroid Prime with just that sound of Samus' spaceship. Like that is the charge beam sound effect.
I went ahead and replaced the charge beam sound effect with like Tourette's guy. So it's like
That's great. That's great. So you also I think you've been briefly involved with the with Silva Gunner or Gilva Center, the granddad.
I don't even know who's the real one anymore.
I think it's like a compilation thing, I think, and one of the composers that contributes very heavily to it, at least according to the author or the artist names on the albums that he puts out. One of the artists that is a very frequent contributor. His name is just Barney Rubble. I have no idea who this guy is. Never heard of him before, but that's amongst other people like Triple Q and Botanic Sage, people who are prominent figures in the stupid remix community on SoundCloud.
The local legend.
So you did a remix of or you did a granddad remix of the new song music from MegaRace. Did you actually use the actual like MIDI software for that?
I in a way. So what I did was there was a program called DRO Trim that takes the DOSBox capture OPL capture data. So you basically hit Control-Alt F7 in DOSBox, and it captures all the music that's being played to that Yamaha OPL2 chip.
Oh, that's cool.
And what this does is you load your music into the captured music data into DRO Trim, and it could actually spit out multi-tracks. So I could have a separate there's 9 channels on the OPL2 chip. So I could have multi-tracks of the MegaRace music, which is very, 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 very helpful for remixing.
Right.
So, and then someone wrote a VST instrument called Juice. It's JUCE OPL VST, and it's got DOSBox emulator built in there for the Yamaha OPL2 chip, so you can load the instrument data from MegaRace into. You have to modify it a little bit because it's again proprietary format, but you have to convert it into non-proprietary format, and then you could actually load it directly into FL Studio. So what I did was I took I chopped out the main melody of New Sand and then loaded the original instruments from MegaRace in the VST instrument, and then played the Flintstones.
Oh, that's wonderful. I imagine that's probably how like most of that's done too, and I love it so much. They had a dark reboot segment where instead of Flintstones, it's like the Family Guy theme and the Simpsons theme. I think.
Oh man.
There was someone took the Coin Machine song from Star Fox, and they also threw in the Simpsons in there. It was great.
Somebody did. Oh gosh, somebody took the Corneria music from Star Fox and just like used all the instruments from that to make the Afterburner music. It's very similar. Oh my god, that was great.
I need to go on SoundCloud more often because that's where all the funny remixes are happening now. I used to be part of that all the time for YouTube poops and stuff like that.
And my main source for all that now is the Silva Gunner. It's Silva Gunner now, not instead of Gilva Sunner, because they got taken down or something. But I that's where I get most of my high quality video game rips from now. They actually got recognized by the voice actors for Sonic the Hedgehog and Dr. Eggman recently.
Oh God!
They were doing a Reddit or they were doing some Twitter Ask Us Anything thing, and they were responding to all of them through audio in character. And it
was beautiful. One
of the questions they got was from Gilva Center, and the question was, "What is your favorite high quality video game rip?" That was pretty great. They read through that in character too. It's so great. So there's now an audio file out there of Sonic the Hedgehog saying high quality video game rip. So thank you, Roger Craig Smith. You're a great man.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That was Mike Pollock and Roger Craig Smith. Yeah, that was. Oh man.
So kind of I guess moving on to other big news stuff in the game industry. Max, we were talking to you earlier. You have not played Overwatch because you are afraid of being sucked into its infinite void.
Yes, I have.
So I have to say,
I have a lot of coworkers and stuff that are into Overwatch and stuff, and it's just it's like meth, man.
It really is. Like if you play Overwatch the wrong way, your computer actually explodes and takes your whole house down with it.
If I like it, then it's good.
It's they just announced a new hero for the game. Basically, it's like Team Fortress 2 and heroes, and Team Fortress 2 for a long time had been kind of like half teasing the thing they're never going to actually do, which is add the coveted 9th class to the game. I think they had like a little Easter egg in Left 4 Dead, the original Left 4 Dead, like in the first campaign when you go downstairs into the apartment you're on top of. There's like a cereal box on the table, and they on the back of the cereal box it advertises these collectible Team Fortress 2 action figures. Collect all 9, and everyone like part of this huge conspiracy investigation thing that went nowhere because it's Valve and they just like to troll people.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Overwatch is basically doing that, but actually doing that 1 month after release, and they are adding. As far as just like general game mechanics go for a first-person shooter game, I think what they're doing is really innovative. They're making a character class that is a sniper, but focused around support. So like your sniper rifle, you fire at your teammates instead of opponents to heal them, which is a really interesting concept. I don't think I've ever seen that done in a first-person shooter before.
I've never seen it done ever.
So you're essentially sniping health packs to people.
You can also, I think
as far as lore goes,
snipe
you can shoot enemies and you can still deal some damage to them, but it's not.
You deal damage, isn't it? Like
I don't remember.
Is there a DPS damage?
Something like that, but like. I want to say, as far as lore goes, there's a character in the game. Her name is Mercy. She's basically identical to the medic from Team Fortress 2. She has like the healing gun thing, and as far as lore goes, like the idea is that her staff is basically modified into a sniper rifle for the new character class to use, which I think is hilarious because but yeah, there's some really cool stuff they're doing with that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they end up doing further on down the line with more characters and whatnot, because this is basically showing me they're coming up with some really innovative ideas that I've never seen done in this kind
of.
And
I had given up on the first person genre for a while, but this got me back in. This and Doom, the new Doom.
Yeah, I want to try out Doom. That looks really good.
The single player is really good.
Multiplayer, makes up for that miraculously. That game is a work of art. It is the most 90s FPS out.
I mean, it's modernized
FPS
90s FPS. I mean, it's modernized.
Right. Like they have each level is filled to the brim with secrets. Like they're hidden in all these obscure places. It almost feels like playing a Nintendo game to some degree.
Oh wow!
Where
it's like Duke Nukem Forever, but done right.
Yes. Like 100% that. It is
like it's how it's very fast paced.
Like one of the secrets, because there's like certain secrets that are in every level. Like one of them is like there's a lever that you can find hidden in some obscure spot in each level, usually like behind a crate or hidden between some environmental geometry. And when you pull this lever, it's like this long animation of your character struggling to pull this lever because it's really old. Then it plays like some guitar riff from the original Doom, like the MIDI soundtrack.
Oh.
Then this door opens somewhere in the level. And when you go in there, it's like a portion of an original Doom level with the original lighting and textures
original music.
And the original music. And there's like it being a secret in a Doom game is filled with health packs, rocket ammo, and minigun ammo, and everything. And then after you find that, when you beat the level, you actually unlock that entire original level as a bonus level that you can access from the main menu.
I didn't even know
amazing.
That is so great. And it's like the whole level completely, it's the complete original level with this original design.
Uh-huh.
The enemies are, the new models from the new game, but they're still like enemy types from the original game anyways, so it works. And you have all the new mechanics as well.
And what they just added was, they've added a few things. You can now make it so the gun is centered in the middle of the camera, like the classic how it was.
That's right.
In the original Doom.
Sweet.
So there's an option for that now.
Yeah.
And there's also, Vulkan.
Yeah.
They just released a patch for that, so you're getting a 30 frames per second boost.
That's Nvidia's.
Oh, wow.
That's Nvidia's.
Yeah, I can play ultra and ultra everything.
I think
the minimum frame rate is now like 60 on my
amazing.
Yeah,
380X.
Vulkan is the new DirectX OpenGL replacement, pretty much. And
it started as AMD Mantle,
mm-hmm.
and then it turned into some other company took it along, or some other group took it.
And I know the Metroid Prime port for PC, where they're definitely going to implement some Vulkan support for that.
Great.
That's incredible, like 30 frame boost.
Vulkan's just like so much more streamlined.
And
DirectX is so archaic and what it could do and stuff.
Like, screw DirectX 12, I want some Vulkan.
But
logical course.
Put that in everything, huh? Oh man.
Yeah. I need to fire up Steam and buy Doom now. That's crazy.
It's been on sale for like $35 here and there.
There's I want to say Green Man Gaming actually right now, as of this recording. I think they have a sale going on where you can get Doom for I think like 30% off, but then they have a coupon code you can use, and I think it's July 20 is the coupon code. You use that during checkout, you can get an additional 20% off, so you're getting the game for like 52% off. I think. I'm not 100% sure. I hear typing on a keyboard.
Yes.
Someone's verifying that.
Yeah, Newegg has had it for $35.
But I would argue that game is totally worth it at $60. It is so
I was
amazing.
very happy with it.
Now the thing is, I'm playing the game on I think Hurt Me Plenty.
And there's also
because Nightmare wasn't unlocked by default, and I wanted a challenge, and I am progressing very slowly through the new Doom.
There's also
I am extremely OCD when it comes to like Nintendo style games. I must find every single secret. Like I'll be at the end of the level and there will be like little question marks that are just like not filled in, and like they're taunting me. I must find those secrets.
Yeah, and then there's a third mode in the game where you could build their level editor or whatever.
The snap map thing.
The snap map, which is very in depth. Like probably the most in depth like kind of map thing I've seen. That's like built into a game.
It's very easy to use.
It was
a lot of. I heard they were actually adding, because originally I think it was intended to be used to create new multiplayer maps. When they released the game and realized, oh wait, everyone hates the multiplayer.
You can do single player.
I think they added proper support for single player maps, so you can actually have like the blue key, the yellow key, and the red key in your level, and have like the proper progression of it.
Yeah, and John Carmack was working on that before he left.
Oh,
so that's like one of the last things he's worked on.
I think,
and he was happy to see it finally.
I think he's being like held hostage by like Mojang being forced to play Minecraft in the Oculus Rift for like all of eternity now. If E3 is any, I think he may have been strapped into that chair as he's like slowly being like rotated back behind the stage. But yeah, Doom is such a great game. Overwatch 2, those are the two games, in my opinion, that I feel have really kind of like that. I really hope they end up like serving as some kind of like beginning of a renaissance of FPS games, because they've really just turned into go from point A to point B. The real focus here is on this narrative, maybe, and I feel like Doom and Overwatch have really just brought back such a focused sense of single player and multiplayer gameplay, respectively, to that genre. It's just I really hope other games kind of follow in that suite.
Yeah, and just to confirm, you're absolutely right. 28.79 for Doom.
That's as good a deal as you're gonna get.
It's 40% off right now. Type in the voucher code July 20. 28.79 Green Man Gaming. You got my business.
There you go.
So,
we're not sponsored by no green or whatever the hell it's called.
Not yet, but
not yet.
Hopefully.
So another big deal, or another big news piece that kind of came up shortly before we started recording, actually. So there's this guy. He's in Seattle. He says he was at an auction recently, and this is actually
Seattle.
The thing is, Nintendo's headquarters.
Microsoft, Nintendo,
so
everybody's
fairly
up there.
close to Nintendo's headquarters, and basically he bought what was described to him as a North American development kit for the Nintendo 64 disk drive. So for our listeners who don't know, the Nintendo 64 disk drive was a canceled, at least in America, peripheral for the Nintendo 64. It was released in Japan. And basically, you would use these floppy disks instead of cartridges to play the games, because the floppy disks could hold so much more data. And there were some games like there's a SimCity, like a SimCity SNES sequel for the Nintendo 64. You could actually like walk around your cities in first-person view. And there were some other really obscure games. I think F-Zero X actually had a honest to God like expansion pack where you could build your own tracks.
Couldn't even do that in GX.
All Japan only. In fact, there's a series on YouTube. It's called Gaming in the Clinton Years, and they're basically like these re-uploads of.
Oh, we're gonna be gaming in the Clinton years again.
They're
maybe
they're re-uploads of episodes of this public access TV show from the 90s called Flights of Fantasy, and basically these are like reviews from for like various Nintendo games, and they're all horrible. But there's in his almost all of his reviews, he says we're hoping that the Nintendo 64 disk drive will remedy these issues, and of course it never came out. So, but or stuff like this upcoming game for the Nintendo 64 disk drive is going to be great, and it never came out. So,
that was not a great idea.
So
the disk drive fascinates me because it's sort of like what Nintendo's doing now with the Wii and the Wii U. Mm-hmm. They've always been gimmicky, but it's the design of the 64 controller. Granted, they were going into 3D video game, and no one knew how to control a 3D environment. So I give them that, but.
You have to admit there is a lot more freedom of control with the Nintendo 64 controller than you have with the Sega Saturn controller, which is basically a Sega Genesis controller with an L and R button.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Sony got it right with that DualShock eventually.
When they added the analog sticks. But what's really fascinating about this, it shows that there were development kits in North America for the disk drive. And I think in this article, he says that the guy that sold it to him said there are only like 15 of these units left like in existence. And that's just amazing to actually have access to that. Now, of course, being a North American development kit,
Reggie's going to track them down.
Yeah, Reggie's going to track them down.
He's going to pulverize them. Oh, man. That guy's
My
not
body is ready.
He's not going to be around much longer because Reggie's already on the hunt.
It's going to be a bad time for somebody not named Reggie Fils-Aimé. So, basically, what's really he can't play any of the existing disk drive games is because this is a development kit. But one thing I noticed in the photos released this, it's basically it looks like a retail Japanese disk drive, N64 disk drive, with some stickers on it, and one of them, the smaller sticker on this, it says lot check, which is actually a term that Nintendo is, and I think I can say this, Nintendo is still using this term, because I have a Wii U development kit, and I've been kind of messing around with it. I've been very, very procrastinatory about actually working with it, but the process in which your game is actually scanned and checked for making sure that it complies with all Nintendo, basically, does your game destroy a Wii U system IRL? That's basically, it's called lot check still. So what this tells me is that you would put your development cartridge or your development disc into the disk drive slot, and it would actually, it looks like there's a button on there you can press to actually initiate a lot check process, which is up here, I'm guessing is all done internally, or maybe this is a unit used for the lot check. Either way, it's very fascinating stuff. It does have a boot screen, so when he turns on his N64, it's like the N64 logo. It says Nintendo 64 top. At the bottom it says please insert disc. There's a 3D model of Mario from Mario Party 3, it looks like, just running around, and it has an internal clock as well. So, very fast.
You want to get me one of those, Jeff?
No.
It cost you a couple tens of thousands of dollars.
How much? Now, look at the if you go on eBay, there's a disk drive development kit on eBay in Fresno, California.
What the hell?
Guy wants $3,000 for it.
I'm sure that's real.
No, it looks legit.
The thing is, there's a lot of people do sell prototype things and development kits and unreleased game betas and whatnot through eBay. I follow Unseen64 a lot. I'm actually writing a couple of articles for their book that's coming out soon, and they very frequently update their community group page with auctions that kind of pop up from time to time of beta games and prototypes and whatnot, and it's very fascinating. I'm looking up 64DD here on
one of the
eBay, but there's they had a whole sequel series to Mario Paint on the 64DD, one of which was actually a game creation studio type thing, which I think eventually kind of got repurposed into WarioWare DIY on the DS. I think they said that was one of their inspirations behind it. So there's some really cool stuff with the disc drive that we unfortunately just never had the chance to check out. I know on Awesome Games Done Quick. Max, do you follow that at all?
I think I've seen a couple of their videos. Yeah,
it's basically a charity telethon type thing where they get a bunch of speedrunners together. They play games very fast, and they do it for charity for cancer research. It's great.
But that's right. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
And they did a speed run of F-Zero X with the expansion pack tracks a few years back, and the expansion pack tracks are horrifyingly difficult. There's a track in the base game. It's called Big Hand, and Big Hand is a track shaped like a large hand, and it's covered in ice. There's no guardrails, and it's the most difficult track in the entire game. So in the expansion pack, they have a track called Big Foot, which is the same thing, but it's a foot, so it's even more difficult. Just because it's so much longer and the curves are so much frequent and tinier, and so, but yeah, and then it had the track editor as well, which it just blows my mind that they were able to do something like that back at that time.
Yeah,
it's so incredible.
Game modding back then was pretty crazy. I remember the very first time I ever did, any sort of game asset creation, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I know Motocross Madness had a track maker and stuff. Midtown Madness had a lot of asset creation, stuff like that. I remember people porting stuff from Need for Speed 3 and Need for Speed 4.
To Motocross Madness 2?
Yeah. And
that
Midtown
game was
Madness
a lot of fun.
Midtown Madness 2, which you could tell was coded in 2 weeks, was that game was so buggy, so buggy, but I made so much content for it, and the game was the modeler that I used for it was called Z Modeler, and I made all these crappy cars with it. Like one was like literally just a sphere and a hemisphere, and I textured it and added sounds to it. And
I remember playing Windows 3D Movie Maker for Microsoft 3D Movie Maker, I think, back in the day, and it was like some like CGI movie creation tool thing, and you like had all of these pre-created characters, and they had like all these preset animation things, so you like click and drag them through these environments basically, and it was an amazing little program. And I remember taking, because they had like primitive shapes, like they had cubes and spheres and cones that you could use, and I remember making characters with those. And the thing is, this program had no, like asset grouping or anything. You couldn't like say, okay, the cone is attached to the cube. No, you like have to go through frame by frame, move all of these things. It's like stop motion animation. You have to move all of them individually through 3D, through like fake 3D space.
Real animators use that.
The thing is, all the backgrounds were not 3D. They were like pre-rendered CGI backgrounds with no animation. And you had these kind of like invisible 3D mesh environments on top of those, sort of. So you had to kind of like guess and check as to where your actual like depth was in the environment. Such a wonderful game. I think it had a plot too. You're a kid and you get kidnapped by this horrifying horrifying like 90s designed to look creepy cartoon character, and he kidnaps you, takes you to his movie theater in this magical land of imagination, I'm sure, and basically all the pages to his masterpiece script have been lost in the wild minecart ride to the land of imagination. And they're basically scattered about his theater, and you have to try and find them. And it's like this kind of 90s like first-person point-and-click adventure game style of navigating through this theater to access the editor tools and then actually watch your movie. And as you're doing this, you're also trying to find like these lost pages of his like epic script of massive proportions to unlock more stuff. Such a great game. Does not work on Windows 7. Hate you, Microsoft.
Works on Windows 10. That's kidding. No, it works on Windows 9.
Oh yeah, Windows 9. Windows 9 is the Microsoft
everything works on Windows 9.
Yeah, it's someone that's compatible with everything. The perfect operating system. That's why it's not released. It would kill Windows 10.
Yeah, we don't want that.
So, moving on. Pokemon Go is the big new thing. I have not tried it yet. I know, Dan, you've been playing it on your Android phone that's dedicated exclusively to it.
Yeah, because I bought one of those Windows phones, and it can't really do anything on that because there's no freaking apps. And I bought one of those like last second a year ago because I was going on a trip because that other phone just kind of deactivated for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, that I've been playing it somewhat, trying to because I'm using my other phone as a hotspot.
The thing is,
it's all wonky.
I've yet to be able to try it, and kind of a funny story behind that. But the thing is, I've been seeing it everywhere, and Max, I know you have been too.
Yep,
it's absolutely everywhere. In fact, I think on the day it came out, it actually beat the install base for Tinder on the one day that it came out.
Wow.
Nintendo struck gold with this game.
I believe, last I heard, it was very closely competing with Twitter for number of active users per day.
Like
it's
people,
like the magnitude of this is unbelievable.
Like people talking about it on like sports radio and shit. Everyone was talking about it at work. I work at a library, and we had like, we're a Pokestop here, and I find that like really cool that
I think it's cool how like communities different places are like libraries, for example, are using it, because I know Lawrence, Kansas, their library awesome library, by the way. They posted a picture on their Facebook page a few days ago. They're doing a thing where you can like send letters to the International Space Station, and in the picture they posted, the letter in like front and center is "How do you poop in space?" They were the best library, hands down. They have like a full audio video editing room. They have a beautiful reading area. It is the greatest library of all time, and I wish I still lived in Lawrence, Kansas, but I don't.
No, you can still drive there.
I can. That's actually closer now.
It's actually, you're right off the highway.
But anyways, the thing that I find really cool is these libraries are now, places like libraries and community centers are setting up, Pokemon Go, basically community gathering things at their locations to try and get more people to come in and, maybe get a library card or get a community athletic center pass, maybe.
Yep. I've seen.
I think that's awesome.
Dog walking shelter or something like that. They're posting like, come walk the dogs and you can get some Pokemon, catch some Pokemon while you walk the dogs or something.
To tell you, okay, so all this stuff, I haven't played it. Everyone that I know has been playing it and been bugging the hell out of me talking about, I caught a Rattata, caught a Ratatouille, and and it's just real. So, game comes out, like the second day it's out, they're like, guys, there's a Pokemon gym in the cemetery. We're going to head over to the cemetery for lunch.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh my god, so they head over to the cemetery. Then, these are all coworkers of mine, and they go, and during break, there are like 15 of them, all at once, go out into the parking lot and go into the tall grass. We have rattlesnakes in that grass, and they're trying to catch Pokemon.
They're going to get an Ekans in there.
Oh, God.
Maybe an Arbok.
Yeah, an Arbok.
Go to the cemetery to get those Ghastlies.
Someone found a Ghastly in a Burger King. There was a story. A girl found a dead body.
Yeah.
While playing Pokemon Go.
See, all these stories are so amusing to me.
There was one story. One person found a coffin in the National Holocaust Survivor Museum.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think someone put it there.
The museum respectfully requested to no longer be associated with Pokemon.
Yeah, I don't know how the game. I think they generated. I don't think someone put there.
It's very much like Ingress. I think you can place Pokemon centers. I think.
Well, I mean,
the Hy-Vee I work at is a Pokemon center.
Yeah, I mean, someone like gyms are like I don't know how they're put there on like landmarks and stuff, or they're put. I don't know how their coding works for that.
I don't know how it works either, but someone rigged it and I live near Tampa, and Tampa is known as the strip club capital of the world. There's like more strip clubs
need to go there.
Square mile than Las Vegas. Anyway, one of the more famous ones is 2001 Nude Odyssey. I'm
gonna guess I'm just gonna make a wild assumption. Are these all these strip clubs names like the names of like cheesy like low budget pornos?
Kinda.
That sounds like it would be.
Titty bang bang.
One's like Mons Venus. It's really bad. Anyway, So someone made an observation tower for Pokemon Go.
Mm-hmm.
At the top of 2001 Odyssey is a spaceship,
Mm-hmm.
and so that you could climb up to. And someone made that a spot in Pokemon Go, and I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, it's just really, it's like a epidemic almost. I've never seen a game that's
there has never been, I think, any game more popular than this.
I'm going to say this right now. My mom, she, like, on her phone, the only thing she plays are, like, slot machine games and Candy Crush. Nothing else. Like, I've been trying to get her to install Pac-Man 256. Beautiful game on Android. And I've been trying to get her to download other stuff like Smash Hit and, all these other great, like, free-to-play Android games. She won't download any of them. She's just too nervous. She's playing Pokemon Go now while she goes on her bike rides, and she has almost crashed her bike twice now playing Pokemon Go.
I'm really wondering It's not going to surprise me one bit. This is going to end up like Miitomo.
That would not surprise me either. I feel like eventually the hype's going to die down, but I feel like
but I think there's more longevity to this than Miitomo.
I feel like that could be the case because the thing is, they have managed, like the Wii before it, they have managed to appeal to that casual audience with this, like legitimately, because they realize, oh wait, they all moved to phones. The fact they were able to do this with Pokemon, I have no idea how. They're using like some dark magic shit, but like this, I can't believe. Like if my mom is playing this game, there's some dark force at work because
I thought this would have been huge. I thought it was going to be huge. Like people like you and me, or children will be playing this. I didn't think
it's huge.
I didn't think
it's insane.
People in their middle-aged people were going to be playing this. Because I'm hearing this is all over the news, all over, everywhere I go. I see people walking everywhere doing it. There's gatherings, like, on the plaza, hundreds of people gathering for this, and it's just people getting exercise, actually, for the first time. People getting out, exploring the place, exploring the actual real world, which it's fascinating that something like that game could do that.
And, it's funny, because this game is doing so much to get, all these people to go outside, and the funny thing is that my cousin, she shares everything on Facebook that she sees because if it's on Facebook and you share it, then
people like
it's
it.
Obviously true. So, like, this is like one of the people who shares those things that always say, if you don't share the status, then you're going to be charged $15 a month for Facebook Blue or something. And so I posted a comment on there saying this comment is only viewable by Facebook Blue members, and she started freaking out. It's so great, but this is one of the people who posts those images like, you all playing Pokemon Go, but I actually do shit in life. And I'm like, well, fuck you, I have fun. So there are a lot of people in my family who are posting those kinds of images. They're all assholes.
I'm seeing that shit, and I'm just like, who gives a shit? I see people their age playing it too. It's like, are they all losers? And they have jobs too. It's like, I just play it like, when I'm on the go.
It's so hypocritical though, because these are the same people who say stop playing video games and get outside. Then a video game comes out that's getting literally everyone in the world to go outside, and they're like, babies.
It's
getting exercise, like exploring the real world. Something I do anyway, but
I've been on the fence about downloading because I've heard it's a battery hog. And me and my dad and my brother, we're going to Disney World next week, and I've been debating because they've got some weird mobile app stuff with that where you select your Fast Pass tickets or something on a mobile app now. I don't really know how it works, but apparently Pokemon Go eats up battery power. And while I realize that Disney World is probably the greatest place in the world to get Pokemon, I might hold off until after that
until they patch it
to reduce battery usage. I'm just because the thing is I have one of those Samsung Galaxy S series phones, and
you're fancy.
Those things have always had battery issues. Those things heat up.
Aren't those
really
like $600 or some shit?
I got this as a gift from my mother who got
those are like
Friday sale.
So it's like I'd be like, if I'm paying that kind of money, that thing better have good battery.
I was told that this phone I have right now is 1 cent at Best Buy on Black Friday.
I was told that the contract that they suck you into. I stay away from contract crap. I'm like, no, I'll just prepay.
But no. I feel like the influence this is having on society is incredible. If this gets people to sit down at park benches and play Pokemon Go instead of waiting in lines for rides so I can wait in those lines instead, I'm totally open to that. So
it's just one step closer to the game game Pokemon fans want.
Yes.
With it's another step closer.
I hear they are actually going to be adding trading in a future update.
Yeah, and they're going to keep updating it, so it's going to keep it.
I think that's great.
People are going to be. Because Miitomo thing is, all it is just questions.
Man, don't you love text-to-speech?
I like that.
Don't you love text-to-speech continuously for 3 months plus?
Yeah.
It's like only a few. And I will say, I feel like I did manage to come up with some pretty great responses on there that just works.
Yeah,
so
I have no
well.
idea what the hell you were talking about ever.
But like, I think one of the questions was, "Who was your first crush?" And my response is, "I have crushed many things in my life."
Jeff-isms
None of
and
them
Jeff shit.
none of them have survived. Um,
Oh, Jeff.
so yeah, I'm just blown away by Pokemon Go. I feel like now one thing going back to our last topic on the N64 disk drive. One interesting thing I read. This is like pure speculation from someone, but what if the Nintendo NX, their next system, what if it ends up being something like the disk drive? I think it would be a colossal failure for one thing, but interesting idea nonetheless.
They can't screw up again.
Hey, you can't say that someone can't release an add-on peripheral for a dying system because Sega did that twice back.
Well, they're not going to do that. I can tell you that much. We still don't know what the hell it is.
Max, do you have any speculation on what the NX might be?
Well, we do know it's cartridge based, right?
I think that was rumored. I don't know if it was confirmed. There's
I don't know.
Evidence very recently that it might be cartridge based.
I don't want to speculate too much, but it's probably going to be another underpowered console that's going to have some sort of gimmick to it that's really not going to...
I think at this point it's almost confirmed. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's I miss the days of the Super NES and the N64, and GameCube. GameCube was a pretty solid console that was pretty underrated at the time when it came out.
It just needed online.
Yeah, it just needed online, and
I mean,
they screwed up with the disc size because it was like 1.
Yeah. Well, it's Nintendo under piracy.
Well, the weird thing with Nintendo's game systems, the GameCube did this, and I know the Wii does it, and I think the Wii U does it as well. The discs actually spin the opposite direction than they do on literally every single other disc-based piece of technology on all three of those systems.
Nintendo does things their own way.
I know for a fact Dreamcast did that. Dreamcast where it's a variable spin rate, so it
had
it's
GD-ROM. I think.
Right, but the problem was it was with alcohol 120, you could very easily copy the data. So the piracy was really crazy.
Plop a CD in there and it works.
I downloaded an ISO for a modified ISO that had like an anti-piracy crack on built into the ISO already. Put it on a CD-ROM and just plopped it into my Dreamcast. I was playing Typing of the Dead, and it was the greatest game ever.
It's extremely easy. It's like the easiest thing to pirate games for.
But yeah, I mean, it's I want the matter of the fact is Nintendo can have, I read somewhere they have 50 years of money. Like that if they constantly made failures,
if they didn't make any money, if their financial report every year were just a zero for the next 50 years, they would still be in business.
Yeah, it's something absolutely asinine like that. It's just it's.
Which tells me, it's like, why aren't you using that money for, F-Zero?
I want F-Zero.
Or a Metroid that isn't Federation Force.
Well, it's like, it's sort of like Disney and Tron, and I'm sure Jeff would agree with this. It's like Tron 2.0 made $450 million at the box office. Mm-hmm. People are clamoring on the Tron Facebook page, where's Tron 3? We want Tron 3. And the fact of the matter is, when Disney bought Star Wars, that was the final nail in the coffin. Once you have Star Wars, why bother making any other sci-fi property?
They did build the Tron
Mario.
They did build the Tron ride.
They did Tron Runner, which I've yet to play, but I have it. I did buy it.
See, you at least get something. F-Zero don't get nothing. Well, okay. You got something in Nintendo Land.
We get a meme from the Nintendo Facebook page every once in a blue moon.
How about the 30th anniversary for Metroid? We get Federation Force Chibi
Oh yeah.
Super fun happy slide.
What was it on Metroid's 25th anniversary? Kirby's 30th anniversary. Celebrate.
Yeah, I'm like, it hurts my heart so much because I loved the Prime series and it was a great. I think it was very awesome that Nintendo entrusted, an American studio with a property like that.
Was really incredible.
Retro Studios.
And I will say what Retro Studios did with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and in Donkey Kong Country Returns, Tropical Freeze especially, absolutely fantastic game. If you look at that game's soundtrack, it's by the same composer of the original Nintendo games. It is one of the best Nintendo game soundtracks I've ever heard. It is a great game. And what Retro Studios has done with that in terms of like level design, it's a masterpiece. But the thing is, it's still a 2D side-scrolling platformer, which is going to feel very underwhelming to a lot of people. And everyone just really wants to see them take on some big, like, larger-scale project with
Metroid,
like Metroid, or even I think there were some people saying they really want to see them do like a Kid Icarus game.
I've heard they're doing an IP. They
are doing a new IP. They've been doing a new IP for, what is it, like 3 years and counting now?
Yeah, better be something big, man.
Well, they had Raven Blade for like before Metroid Prime came out, and if you go on YouTube, there's actually someone leaked some gameplay of it.
Oh yeah.
On VHS and like a really early build of it, and it looks so bland. It's just like hordes of enemies running towards you, and you go swipe, hack, swipe, and there's like it looks pretty bad. But
how did Nintendo even find these guys?
Yeah,
they helped fund the studio or something like that. It's actually funny. It was originally the guy who co-founded Iguana Entertainment.
That sounds very familiar, actually. Did they ever produce anything?
I want to say
Iguana Entertainment sounds very familiar to me.
They worked on Turok or something. I'm not sure. But the guy who co-founded the studio,
they turned into Acclaim Studios.
That's right.
That's where I'm remembering that from.
Right, and they went. The guy who co-founded Retro.
They made an NBA Jam.
They were working on all these games, and they weren't using the money right. They were they were just basically really poor management. Nintendo was like, okay, we're canceling all the games. We're turning this one game you're working on it was literally called Action Adventure, and they turned it into a Metroid game. And what's really interesting about Action Adventure, some assets from the game are still in Metroid Prime.
Oh, really?
There's the Hive boss in Chozo Ruins, the flamethrower thing, is like the only remnant of the old game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I don't know if the flamethrower was in there, but we do believe the design of the room was there, and there's references to something called a blood monkey in the game files, and we found out from contacting a retro developer that a former employee that was a name of an enemy from Action Adventure.
That's amazing.
So there's some remnants of it.
That's something I always find really, really fascinating about like looking through games code. You like see these kind of references to other games or other things that didn't like make it in, or like remnants of like what a game was before it ended up being what it was eventually released as.
Well, what's hilarious, MegaRace did that too. Did it? Yeah, there's in the because
there's the test. There's like a test thing.
Yeah,
this video or something. It was like a completely different game or something.
Right. What they were developing a game called Drive Fractalis, and somehow it evolved into MegaRace, in the MegaRace files, there's all this stuff abbreviated DF, and I was like, what the hell's DF? And it occurred to me the other day, oh my god, it's Drive Fractalis. And so that was the working title for MegaRace. and they actually used some of that test footage in some of the TV screens in the cinematics.
Oh yeah.
For the game, so it does actually appear in the final product in some shape or form. But yeah, I think what happened was there was another studio that was developing the CGI for Cryo, and then Cryo took full reins on it. I'm literally like the only source of what the heck's going on with that.
Right.
So this is all research that I've done, trying to figure stuff out. But yeah, no, it's really, really fascinating how games morph like that, where like you said earlier, there's assets from other games. And
I mean, have you seen like the evidence that suggests that GoldenEye 64 is originally a rail shooter?
No, I haven't.
So apparently GoldenEye 64, there was a very old, like from some Italian gaming magazine, they had a VHS tape in one of their issues that basically showed like a sizzle reel of upcoming N64 games, and one of them was just labeled as GoldenEye 64, and it showed the silo level, which is apparently one of the first levels that actually went into development for GoldenEye 64, and it showed the player basically in an area that you cannot access in the final level, but you can see that area in the final level.
Right.
And it shows them moving on what appears to be a very set, like smooth, like curved path, looking in such a way that is impossible to do in the final game. That would be very easy to do if it were like a rail shooter, kind of like Pokemon Snap or something. And if you look at the enemies' animations, they have very heavy like Time Crisis style animations that would fit perfectly in like a rail shooter. Like they'll like shoot at you for a few seconds, and then they'll like just like lower their gun, and then just like slowly do this dramatic like barrel roll across the ground, and start firing at you again. They're rail shooter animations, and I think an employee from Rare actually did say that the game did start prototyping as a rail shooter. It's very fascinating stuff, and the thing is, the further you go on in GoldenEye, the more or the fewer changes. Like the earlier you are in GoldenEye, like each level had progressively fewer changes, but like the first level has like, or I think it's the other way around. Each level has more and more changes made to it like throughout development. So like in the dam level, the first level of the game, there's an island to the right of the dam, and the original plan for that level is you were going to get in a boat and go to that island, and then you were going to get the bungee cord that you would use to jump off the dam and drive back, and that's why James Bond just jumps off a dam with no bungee cord in the final game. So,
but yeah, Cutting Room Floor. .net.
They're a really cool website. I've seen their article on Super Mario Sunshine, and it is fascinating.
Another crazy game that's got a crap ton of debug stuff. Beetle Venture Racing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and what's hilarious is that it was published by Electronic Arts. Mm-hmm. And when you load the debug menu, it actually says Need for Speed on it. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's you can modify so much stuff in the game. It's crazy.
Unseen 64 is another really good website for that stuff, and they're doing a book as part of their Patreon thing, where they're going to have a bunch of articles written by various contributors. One of which is me.
Yeah, by the Jeff Wheaton.
Yeah, but they're going to be selling it on Amazon, I think, through Amazon Print Services, and they're going to have some articles that are exclusive to the book, and so it's a pretty cool thing. The thing is, Unseen 64's staff, they're like the guy that runs the whole page. He's Italian, and English is not his first language. So I've been proofreading tons of articles. Like I proofread the back of the book description for him, and had to correct so much stuff, but totally understandable. English isn't his first language, and but the thing is, this guy, he's been running Unseen 64, huge website. I'm assuming both of you guys have heard of Unseen 64.
Yeah,
and
well, I have.
The guy that runs the whole website, he started that when he was 16 in high school, and he's basically been running the whole website, like I think on his own and like maybe a couple friends since then. incredibly impressive piece of work.
Yeah, I don't know how he finds out some of this stuff.
There's
a lot of digging around.
They do have contacts in the industry. I think they talk to a lot of like former developers and current development studios. Unfortunately, NDAs make it very difficult for them to do that. But I really like the way they view, like basically what their mission is for their website, and that's to they see games as art. they see games as art, and they feel that art that is not completed should still be preserved. They have like on their back of the book description, they have some analogies to famous paintings that were never finished, and they feel that like any game, regardless of how good or bad it is, if it's not finished, it should still be preserved, because we can learn from those canceled games, and the mistakes that led to them being canceled. Or
I just want to know what could have been so I can cry.
That's so I think we're coming up on, wow, it's been a long episode, about an hour.
We're going an hour and 40 minutes.
So I think we should probably start to wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode, Max. It's been awesome. Max Petrosky, everyone, check him out on YouTube. I think Cinemax is your YouTube channel, I think.
Yes, it's youtube.com/SYNAMAX music. I got a lot of YouTube poops, and I post random crap on there. Like right now, I just posted a bunch of tracks that were used on Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule. So the soundtrack to the show.
Very nice.
But be sure to check out again, if you could check out the MegaRace Reboot soundtrack on CD Baby or iTunes. That would be very much appreciated.
Yeah, we'll have links to those in the description for the video as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Compile all that crap.
And also check out Zoom platform. You could Google Zoom platform or Zoom-platform.com. We have the MegaRace trilogy on there. We also have a lot of other games that if you ever had a Packard Bell computer back in the day, we have a lot of other games that came with it. Like
I noticed you guys uploaded. They put 3D Body Adventure on there recently. Yeah. I played that game so much back when I was younger. The first-person shooter Doom segments of that game scared the hell out of me. I am
so glad you're saying that right up. It gave me anxiety attacks when I was a kid too, man. It was.
I was just in it for the 3D glasses. So.
Oh man, 3D Dinosaur Adventure scared the hell out of me. 3D Body Adventure scared. There's a video in 3D Body Adventure where there's what happens during a heart attack, and it's like this slurping sound effect that plays.
I don't think I've played any of that.
It's like I was watching it on YouTube and I started sweating bullets. I was like, oh my god.
I will say though, the game I grew up with was Descent. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've seen gameplay of it. Yeah,
it is a fantastic game. But
I grew up on that too. Descent, Doom, and Warcraft, and then Nintendo, of course.
And one final plug: we're doing the Indiegogo for the MegaRace Reboot game very, very soon. So be sure to like the MegaRace Reboot page. It's facebook.com/MegaRace Reboot, or just type in MegaRace Reboot, and be sure to like the page, and we'll keep you up to date on when the Indiegogo campaign will be live. And if you can help us support the game, that would be very much appreciated. And
we'll share the page. Yeah,
awesome.
We'll give you a share on Facebook. We've got the social media presence, maybe.
So let me try. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show, Max. Really appreciate it. Been an awesome episode. Thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe to all the things that are in the description, and also us. It's appreciated.
Most appreciated.
We're really bad at doing endings on this show. So, Max, if you want to play us off in some way, shape, or form.
So,
no pressure.
So, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And to help, and on that bombshell, here's some closing music. Okay.
Very nice.